Hi, this is Lara, Shiv, Matthew, Danny, and Megan, and today we're discussing conflict resolution.
Conflict resolution can arise from incompatibility of goals, behaviors, or attitudes between two or more parties.
Conflict resolution is a formal or informal process that people or groups of people use to find a fair solution to their dispute.
To be able to solve a conflict successfully, you must be able to view the problem from multiple perspectives, empathize towards others' opinions, actively listen to the opposing side, and be able to compromise.
This topic is extremely important for a number of reasons, as you can see on the slide. But most importantly, it allows organisations to get the job done efficiently and effectively, keeping other people's feelings in mind. The interest-based relational approach was developed by Roger Fisher and William Ury in 1981. It focuses on building a mutual respect and understanding for one another. This approach shows both sides of the conflict, then working together as a team to come to a conclusion. The theory is executed in the following 6 steps. 1. Make sure that good relationships are a priority. 2. Separate people from problems. 3. Listen carefully to different interests. 4. Listen first, talk second. 5. Set out the facts. 6. Explore options together. Mediation through the facilitation of a conversation is a process which encourages individuals to become more active in finding a solution. A mediator is a third party who attempts to resolve a conflict between others. Mediation will start with a pre-negotiation step. The individuals who are involved in the conflict are given the opportunity to create an agenda, process, and framework. The mediator will then assist both parties in accepting the argument of the other and using this to take action. When both parties are able to acknowledge each other's positive traits, qualities, and skills, it helps to resolve conflict and to strengthen relationships and build confidence.
Deutsch's theory, established in 1949, states that most conflicts involve a mix of cooperative and competitive motives. Deutsch also talks about how a party's goals can be negatively or positively interdependent. Deutsch's theory also utilizes the strategy of constructive processes for conflict resolution, which is similar to problem solving. Deutsch states that to have an effective working relationship, the party needs social support in creating and maintaining a cooperative relationship. For constructive resolution, parties need to reframe their understanding of the goals or conflict. Reframing uses the norms of honesty, respect, acknowledging responsibility, seeking common ground. Constructive processes rest on the basic values of reciprocity. Effective conflict management requires skills and knowledge. And lastly, practitioners need to reflect on their own practices. The transformative approach to conflict involves making a fundamental change in an individual's behavior or attitude and a fundamental change in the relationship to resolve the conflict. This approach was formed by Volker, Busch, Burgess, Lederach, and Rothman. Transformative approaches can take many forms, but the most popular is mediation. The full list of transformative approaches are transformative mediation, conflict transformation, human needs and analytical problem solving, dialogue, constructive conversation, and collaborative learning. Lastly, Murray Bowen's family system theory from 1950 is an informal method where individuals rarely get a say in the outcome. Members of the system are expected to respond to each other in a certain way according to their role, which is determined by the relationship agreements. There are 8 interlocking concepts to this theory. These concepts allow for individuals to express their emotions and be open to one another.
As you can see, there are mainly similarities between these conflict resolution theories. In the IBR theory, there isn't a change in the individual's attitude, whereas there is in the mediation through conversation theory. However, the IBR approach utilizes teamwork, whereas the mediation approach doesn't. Both have respect and acknowledgement. The Deutsch theory and the transformative approach theory are very similar. However, the Deutsch theory is an informal process and the transformative approach is a formal process. The least similar theory is the Bowen's theory. In this theory, there is no change in the individual's attitude and they don't utilize teamwork. However, they do have respect and acknowledgement.
Now it is time to discuss the empirical evidence supporting each theory. Ury, Brett, and Goldberg, 3 people in getting disputes resolved, go through 3 different orientations in the coal industry regarding different theories of conflict resolution. Each orientation involved a different theory, and it was their goal to compare and contrast the results of each orientation so they could see which method was the most effective. The 3 methods were the interest-based method, the rights-based method, and the power-based method. Since we are limited on time, I'm only going to discuss the results of the interest-based method. After examining the data, they find that the interest-based theory had the best long-term outcomes, such as improved relationships between parties, greater perception of fairness and satisfaction, and a greater commitment to solutions.
A study by Morton Deutsch had MIT introductory psychology students separated into 4 cooperative and 4 competitive groups, where puzzles were given to each of the groups to solve. Eventually, the findings were that greater productivity occurs in cooperative settings. Some of the initial hypotheses that were proved were that cooperation will exhibit more helpfulness, whereas competition induces more obstruction. Also, a larger percentage of actions with others would be positively affected among cooperations, whereas it would be negative for competition. Finally, the ideas introduced will be much more sustainable in a cooperative setting. Hence, it is a widely recognized theory that supports the superiority of cooperative environments.
Facilitation involves a third party inserting themselves into the situation by acting as an intermediary between both sides. A good example of a facilitator is a marriage counselor. He or she is asked for on the behalf of a couple in order to find the problems within a husband and wife's relationship. According to a research done by the American Association of Marriage and Family Therapists, over 98% of people who chose to participate in the survey said they had successful and beneficial sessions. Statistics also show that therapy sessions involving both parties and the facilitator come to a resolution faster than if the parties were not to use a facilitator.
With win-win-win, we all win. Me too. I win for having successfully mediated a conflict at work.
Despite criticisms, the Bowen family systems theory was introduced, suggesting that individuals cannot be understood in isolation with each other, but rather as part of a family, placing more emphasis on relationships in general. 2 of the assumptions made, so the systems theory was developed on the assumption that understanding of a person's emotional functioning must extend beyond psychological constructs to recognize his or her relatedness to all life, and that an adequate understanding of human behavior must rest on the foundation that includes a relational family system. Although several of his propositions can be supported with empirical data, such as the theory that the parents of schizophrenics were more fused with their offspring than their other parents, some of this theory could not be provided with sufficient empirical evidence, like the sibling theory and triangulation, and hence requires more research into it to be considered universally valid.
The case study we'll be looking at is between 2 work colleagues, Laura and Tim, who are in conflict after Tim makes sexual advances towards Laura after a night out. Tim's continuous apologetic behavior has Laura reason to believe he is foisting another form of unwanted attention. Laura has taken up another position within the organization to avoid conflict. However, she's dissatisfied and unhappy with the work in her new role. The 2 individuals in this case are clearly fighting for power, trying to maintain and uphold credibility and respect in their work environment. Tim doesn't want to be seen as a creep and wants to maintain his image and respect within the workplace, whereas Laura wants to maintain her professional reputation. There is a clear fight for power here. Emotional expression is important as both individuals are clearly holding in the emotions, unable to express it. Bowen's theory focuses on emotional expression in a respectful manner, whereby ombudsman, a third-party mediator, facilitates the concerns and emotions of the 2 parties to reach a positive outcome for both. Although Laura attempted to use emotional cutoff to manage the conflict, it was ultimately mediation and emotional expression that allowed the individuals to reach an outcome. This also touches base on the Morton-Deutsch cooperative model, whereby the 2 individuals incorporate the 6 formal steps to reach an outcome. The most common variable was being honest and respectful towards each other, acknowledging and taking responsibility for their actions that led to the conflict. Both parties were able to understand and empathize with each other, which led to a positive outcome. The result was that both individuals reached an agreement to continue working with each other in a professional manner, letting go of all negative emotions towards each other. Both individuals were able to relay the emotions respectfully and address their concerns. Both parties were able to acknowledge the impact they had on each other and were able to address it professionally with a mediation from ombudsman. Speaking to HR at Commonwealth Bank, major organizations use mediation and facilitation, Bowen's family theory, and the Deutsch model to resolve conflicts within the business. The corporations follow informal methods of conflict resolution, placing more emphasis on reaching an outcome in an orderly manner. The belief is that focusing too much emphasis on process and formal methods may not reach a suitable outcome for both parties, and sometimes can further escalate conflicts. To conclude, based on the theories, evidence, and case studies presented, informal methods of conflict resolution tend to be more effective in resolving conflicts, and thus should be a strategy further adopted by organizations and groups. Although there may be some limitations in informal methods, reaching an outcome in an effective and efficient manner should be the main goal for both parties, organizations, and groups. Thank you.